Hey guys, welcome back. Bad news. A lot of people have been commenting that they like this helmet, asking me what it is, where I got it, but I found a crack in it. I don't know how it happened because I don't really remember hitting my head, but it's time to get a new helmet. I got two of them. They're $149 each. One is the Flux with MIPS. The other is the Bell Sixer with MIPS also. I thought, I'm just gonna get both of them and I'm gonna try them on, and whichever one fits better, I'm gonna keep. And as I started comparing the both of them, they both fit fairly similarly. They fit pretty good, they felt good, but they had some different features on them, and I thought maybe you guys might like to know the difference in the features that they have. So I'm gonna do a little helmet check, helmet review of both of them. I haven't worn them on a ride, so I can't really call it a review. But I'm just going to run down the features and show the differences in them and what I think about them, in my opinion, if that matters to you at all. So here we go. This is the Flux. This is the Bell Sixer. So let's talk about the visor. The first thing I noticed when I pulled out the Flux out of the box is the visor looked all funky. And so I tried to move it. And it moved and it just dropped straight down. I was like, well, that doesn't seem nice. And then I caught it with my finger. And the thing's really, really flimsy. So I thought, well, how do you tighten it? With this little plastic screw. So let me tighten that up. Little tiny plastic screw. It has notches in there. But you can see it doesn't look right. And this one tightens up too. And you push it up to do that. And then you got to adjust both of them. It's less than ideal. I mean, it's not a huge deal, but it's less than ideal. The Sixer, in contrast, you can see that the visor is held on with bolts. It's pretty sturdy, it's flexible, but it's not crazy. And you can see you can just push on one side and you get solid adjustments. The other thing I like about the visor with the Sixer is it looks like if you pull it up a notch, you expose these vents here, these brow vents a little bit more. So, maybe if it's colder, you can ride down. If you get a little warm, you kick it up a notch. You expose these vents. I thought that was pretty slick. I know it's pretty basic, you think. We're all used to this type of closure system. I don't even know what they call it, but it's pretty simplistic. It works. It's been around for a while. We're all used to it. This is the Bell Sixer, by the way. It has the standard clasp. Fox has a different kind of clasp, which is pretty cool. I actually kind of like it. So you can see here, so it magnetizes itself on there and it gets in a position where it locks it. So all you have to do is you just slide them apart and voila, pops right off. Pretty simple. My gripe about it is where it sits. It sits on the side of my chin and this thing's pretty big. In comparison to that, it's pretty big and it's kind of square. I just think it would be uncomfortable. So while I really like the concept of this, I don't necessarily like the execution of it. I feel like if they could make the same thing in a little smaller package, maybe make it so that it can be adjusted to a spot that's comfortable, I think they got a winner. It is pretty cool though. It just kind of boink. You just kind of touch them and they go together. You do one finger, boink. Let's talk about ventilation. You can see the Flux has some crazy ventilation. I think there are 14 vents in all, but you can see straight through this helmet. I mean, clearly it's ventilated. To me, when I first looked at it, I thought, well, of course, the Flux is going to be the one that wins in the ventilation department. I mean, the Sixer actually has more vents in it, more actual visible vent holes in it. But you can see they're smaller. You can't see straight through it as much as you can with the Flux. I don't think that tells the whole story. I think aerodynamics are pretty complex. What's different between this ventilation and the Flux, they have channels built in here, and it's really hard to see. You'll just maybe have to take my word for it. But they've got channels built in here that move the air down and around your head. And I feel like with ventilation, because of the slick design on the inside of this helmet compared to the Flux that has just gaping holes in it, I think the venting is probably, I would have to guess without wearing them, I would have to guess that they're pretty equal. One of the differences that the Sixer has are these brow vents, and these vent holes, Bell says, is to allow all of the steam from your goggles or glasses to escape up into the helmet and get sucked through those channels that are built in here. And again, you can see the air would come in here and kind of make a vacuum from these vents here. At least that's my layman's understanding of aerodynamics and how it would work. So camera mounts. This one, the Fox Flux, does not have a camera mount built into it, or light mount for that matter. But what it does have is a pretty pristine little spot to where you can set a GoPro mount. It's nice and flat. It's got that basic little curve to it. So when you get a curved one of these GoPro mounts, I think it would fit on here really nicely. And it actually, from my experience, my limited experience, that seems to be a pretty good spot to mount the camera. And of course, mounting a light there is going to be perfect as well. The Sixer has a built-in light camera mount on the top of the helmet here. This hole here, which at first glance looks like an air vent, it really isn't, is a spot to snap this in. So this has a little hook right there in the front. It goes right into that little slot, and the hook in this back, the back part of this hook here is spring-loaded. And so it just slides in, snaps down. That's it. So your GoPro and light mount's in there. At first glance, I thought this was awesome, but once I mounted a camera to it, I realized that it's got play to it. It's got movement. Not only does it have side-to-side movement where it mounts inside the helmet, it's thinking safety first. Bell made this camera mount or light mount to be breakaway, so that if you fall, something sticking off the top of your head doesn't wrench your neck anymore. This piece right here is designed to break away, and not only break away, but it's designed to be able to snap back in. And because of that, and this is really tough to see, but maybe you can see it, it moves a little bit side to side. So this moves independently of the mount, and the mount actually has some play inside the helmet. And for a light, that's obviously no big deal whatsoever. But for a camera, my instinct tells me that this would be visible in the video, and it could also be heard in the audio. Take that with a grain of salt. I haven't used it. Maybe if somebody else uses it, maybe they could comment. That would be great. I'd love to know whether it's good or not. And since Bell actually built in vents to help your goggles from fogging up, or help keep them from fogging up, I figured we should talk about goggles. So I've got a pair of fairly small old Oakleys. They both have different ways to retain your goggle strap. And I actually kind of like how this feels because it pulls the goggles up against the helmet, which I kind of like because you have to put it in this ridge back here in order to hold the strap in. I mean, you do cover up some vents. It fits up here just fine. Fits on my face good. Feels pretty darn good, actually. One thing that I did notice when I started looking at goggles on these things was the fit of the helmets. Because I have to do this, and every time I put these on, I realized, look how much the fit of the helmet has changed. Ow. From where it should be. I mean, that's where it should be. And then I put the goggles on, you know, the helmet does this. I'm like, well, that's not very good, because I don't want the helmet doing that if I crash, especially if I crash on my face. I don't want the helmet to go like that. So I messed around with all the adjustments. If you get into here, you can see these adjustments. Well, maybe you can't see it, but I moved them all around so that all of this fit on my head as best as possible. I can tighten it all up. I mean, it's pretty tight. I wouldn't want it to be any tighter. Let's make it one notch tighter. And it still moves up fairly easily. So I started to get a little concerned that I wasn't really testing the fit as well as I could. Now, fit's subjective. It's going to be different for you as it is for me. So this is one thing to look at when you try on any helmet. When you try it on, put it on, tighten it up, get it adjusted, put your chin strap on tight, and then move it around. If you can move the thing around in your head, I don't know if it's the best helmet for you. So that's the Flux. Here's the Sixer. And I actually thought that this fit better than that from the get-go. Maybe putting it on like that is okay, but when I put it on the way I did the Fox, do that, the same thing happens, you know? The same thing happens. It just pushes right up. it slides right back. I don't feel like that's ideal. Get off. But it was just something that drew me into the fit a little bit more. This does fit the goggle just fine. And the Sixer put a little bit of diamond plate rubber along the back of it, kind of similar that you'd see on a snowboard helmet or something like that, or any kind of helmet that is made to have goggles on it. You know, I think they both put thought into people wearing goggles with their helmets. And I think it shows, because I wouldn't have a problem wearing these helmets with goggles at all. You can see the back of this a little bit better. You see they run this diamond plate rubber a fair distance around the back of it. And it works pretty good. The goggles stay there. And again, I haven't worn it with goggles, so I don't know what, you know, busting down the trail is gonna do, but movement around, kind of shaking it with my hand, pulling on the straps with my hand, it stayed on there pretty good. This is pretty grippy. So again, you know, they have the similar features. They both have the MIPS technology in there. And oddly enough, they both use this ecstatic pad, this removable, washable pad. And this thing is antimicrobial for both of them. Antimicrobial means it's not going to stink as much when you sweat in it. The Bell does not come with an extra pair, an extra pad. It only comes with one, but again, it is removable, it is washable, just Velcroed in there. The Fox comes with 2 pads, so you can pull it out, toss it in the washer, or the dirty clothes, throw your other pad in there and don't have to worry about it. You don't have to make sure you wash it before your next ride. One of the other features with Bell's sweat pad is they have this little thing right here, and so they say all your sweat gathers into the pad and it comes up in here and drips out in front of your glasses, in front of your face, not in your eyes. Those are their words, not mine. I haven't used it, so I don't see that it would really work that well, but because I just imagine if this is my forehead, my glasses are going to be right under that. I don't know. That's what they say. All right, I only have one other little gripe with the Fox, and it's the shape of the helmet. When you look at the 2 shapes, this ducktail it kind of sticks in my head that it's going to catch on stuff. It's kind of a protrusion, and so is this part. So I feel like if I'm tumbling down a hill and I'm trying to tuck myself into as much of a ball as I can, or trying to not hit things with my head, I feel like even though it's probably only about that much more sticking out of it compared to the other helmets, I feel like this might catch something. How likely is that? I don't know, but if I'm wearing a helmet to keep my head safe and keep my neck safe, I don't think I would like the ducktail sticking out there to possibly catch on something. That's just my opinion. So there you have it. You got 2 helmets, same price, 2 different manufacturers. They go about it 2 different ways. They fit and feel about the same. I think they would probably perform the same as far as keeping you ventilated. I think they perform the same as they with goggles or glasses. And again, I haven't ridden with either of them, so I can't really speak to how they wear when you're riding. So you might be wondering which one is for me, and I'll show you. It's this. And I really didn't want it to be. I ordered 3 helmets, and I was going to keep the one that fit the best. And these 2, the Fox and the Bell, came in a day before this one did. And so I tried these things on throughout the day before this one arrived. And I had pretty much settled on the Bell Sixer. I thought that I was going to figure out a way to keep that camera mount steady. If it didn't, I would find another way to put a camera mount on it. Wouldn't be that difficult. But it felt the best, it felt the most sturdy, it felt the most helmet-like. Until this arrived. I was set on not liking this. I didn't want to like it. It's 50% more expensive than either of these 2 at $210, $220, $70, $75 more than the other 2 helmets. But when I put this thing on, it's like clunk. I mean, it is on. It feels like a helmet. And in comparison, whereas both of these 2 felt like substantial helmets, this makes those feel like a hat. This thing feels like a substantial helmet. It feels like my head is going to be protected. It doesn't move. It feels snug. I wore it on a ride today. I mean, I walked around the car for must have been 10, 15 minutes talking to Alex without even taking this off. Like, it was the last thing on my mind to take off. Normally when I get to the car, I'm like, you know, get this helmet off. But this, it was no big deal. That's how comfortable it is for me. And you can see how, I mean, it pulls up. I mean, this thing's stuck on my head and I like it. It's so comfortable. But it might not be for you. This Bell Sixer or this Fox helmet might be for you. Maybe some other helmet, I don't really know. But that's kind of the point of everything. Pick a helmet or helmets that you like the features and then get them and try them on. Or go to your local shop, try them on, however you can do it. I don't have any local shops that carry any of these helmets. So I have to order them on Amazon. I have to try all the ones I want on before I wear them outside and send the losers back. And that's not the best way to do things. I don't really agree with that approach to testing things out, but we can only do with what we have. And like I said, I live in Florida. Mountain biking's not big for shops around here, and they don't carry these kind of helmets. I wouldn't be able to look at them all in one day. I don't want to ride with a cracked helmet, but I don't want to keep riding. I need a helmet. Amazon to the rescue. I order 3 of them. They arrive in 2 or 3 days. I'll try all of them on. Whichever one fits best, I keep. The other ones, going back. Thank you, Amazon, for making that possible for me. So if you guys need a new helmet, go try on a bunch, find the one with the features you like that fits the best, and buy it. And then get on your bikes and ride. Thanks for watching.